We kind of mentioned it in that in what we were talking about, but you edited a lot of other series besides Astra as well, including Seraph of the End, World Trigger, Toriko, Dragon Ball Super, Eldlife, Black Torch, Robot Laser Beam. There's just so many series you're working on, and you're also working on one of the newest jump starts that debuted in the recent issue of Shonen Jump, Bozebeats. So I wanted to first talk about our initial thoughts on Bozebeats and what we think of it.
Yep, I also edit Judy Tyson, which is still running for free on the free section, same day as Japan on Saturdays.
Yes, and I've been enjoying the manga version of that a lot. It's very different from both the light novel and anime versions. I mean, not significantly different, but I just like its storytelling a lot. Yeah,
that's what I've heard. I've heard that the battles look more dynamic in the manga and that the pacing is better.
It is. The manga is such a... I wish the anime, looked as good as the manga does. But, unfortunately, it was done by a relatively new studio and they couldn't keep up the visuals in certain episodes.
Anyway, machine guns and monks.
Oh, yeah. So, Sid, what is Bozebeats actually about? Actually, you know what? I feel like if you were just to tell me this manga is about priests with machine guns, you would have already had me hooked, honestly.
Yeah, I think Marlene had a great description of it. I mean, monks with machine guns. But specifically, Bozebeats is about, the specific group of, kind of militant monks or monks who go out and fight evil spirits and stuff. What a Boze is, according to the series, is the head monk of a temple or monastery, one who saves others with the teachings of the Buddha. So Bozebeats are those monks, but they have special weapons that they use to fight evil spirits and stuff. And the series is about this child who is abandoned in the woods called Madoka Tamaki, and he encounters one of these priests when he comes into the woods to take out an evil spirit, and then through some circumstances he ends up getting in a fight with a really evil Kodama, a tree spirit, and his adoptive wolf mother gets injured, and in a rage he starts unleashing mysterious power, all the souls that were scattered from when the Bozebeat purified the Chimi. He absorbed those souls into his body, so the Bozebeat is that's very strange. And so, because his adopted mother figure was kind of killed, Madoka Tamaki asked the priest to kind of train him, and he goes back to civilization to kind of learn more about himself, because he doesn't really remember his life before he came to live in the woods, and didn't know his name until the priest had kind of read out his name tag and told him. So the premise is about this kid kind of fighting these evil spirits and learning more about his past. And the priest has the most awesome line where he, when he first encounters Tamaki, and Tamaki's are you here to, eat us? And, he says he says, this in the most badass way, I'm a vegetarian. That is the most badass reading of that line that I've ever read.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty good, actually.
That was super good.
Adrian did a really good job translating just the whole chapter in general. It was a really good translation. And also, I really do enjoy the disconnect of, Ryudaji's face and, the fact that he is, legitimately a monk. It's amusing. And the character designs are great. The weapons are great. This mangaka knows how to color really well.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. The opening, 2-page color spread is absolutely gorgeous. Especially, that, the entire scene of that city, with all those, green, bright colors, and then, that lightning dragon, it looks stunning.
Yeah, but no, I totally agree.
Yeah, I was definitely blown away by the art. Definitely going to be looking out for more work from this artist in particular, whose name I'm having trouble remembering off the top of my head.
Ryoji Hirano.
Thank you. Yeah. As far as the story goes, this is a series where I don't know if I'm really ready to start reading this, like, from chapter 1. Like, this is a series I could see myself kind of letting build up first, and seeing how long it lasts in Jump before I decide to read it, but as far as just the first chapter goes in general, I didn't think it was bad. I thought it was interesting, and really the art kind of carried me all the way through, because, man, like, I don't know if you'll agree with me, Sid, but, like, especially, like, whenever, like, the wolves are around or whatever, for some reason, I got a real, like, I got that kind of, like, 2 Year Eternity kind of feel in some scenes or whatever. I don't know if you would agree with me on that.
Yeah, I was going to bring that up because tonally and thematically, this feels very similar. Like, the artwork does have, like, a quality that I could definitely see of Loima's, and especially, like, because of the wolf characters, it's very easy to, like, make that comparison. But, yeah, I mean, I definitely feel like in terms of this being a story about, like, kind of understanding, like, life and the balance, the cycle of life and nature. I think, like, these are really strong, like, themes for the series, and, like, I just also really love the animal and creature designs in particular. Like, the bears, the wolves, that lightning dragon at the beginning, like, wow, like, a lot of this stuff blows me away, and you know, these monster designs are really creepy too, like the Kodama. You know, I'm used to seeing, like, Kodama in series, like, being kind of more cutesy. Like, think about Princess Mononoke or Kagami Gami from a few years ago. I remember, like, the Kodama, like, being presented as, like, more cute little tree spirits. But the Kodama in this series, like, it reminds me of, like, the Akuma from Ye Gray Man in a way, and kind of how twisted the design is. And like the multiple mouths and, like, weird faces, it's, like, really disturbing.
Yeah, I think that, like, for example, I'm obviously not, like, at liberty to say what we'll pick up or whatever. So don't take this as me, and I actually don't even know. I'm not part of that side of things. I'm actually an editorial. And so, like, whether this is picked up or not, I don't know. But, like, even if we don't pick this up, I'm gonna probably still want to read it, like, in the Japanese magazine. I don't know, I like this kind of manga a lot. Like, this genre. Like, I work on Black Torch, I work on Seraph. I like these kind of series, so I'm happy with this specific jump. Like, I've worked on a lot of jump starts. They're all interesting in their own ways. But this one, and I even said it on Twitter, like, this one has been, I think, my favorite since, Buddy Strike, in terms of the ones that I've personally worked on.
Yeah, I mean, this was definitely a really strong first chapter. I think what usually, like, really impresses me about, like, first chapters of new series is how they sell, like, the really emotional heart of these stories. And, like, there are two scenes in particular that, like, really stood out to me and that really hit that strong emotional connection. The first is when, like, Tamaki's, like, wolf mother is, like, her spirit is, like, talking to him because, you know, she's passing on, and she's, like, telling him to, like, return from being a wolf to human, and that even though she's passing away, like, her soul will always be with him, and tells him to find yourself, and, like, says, "Thank you for loving me." Oh, so good. So good.
Yeah.
And then, of course, when Tamaki's talking with Ryu Daiji and he doesn't understand, like, why he buried, like, you know, his mother, because he thinks, like, oh, when creatures die, you know, they just go back into the earth and get eaten and stuff. Why even bother burying people? It makes no sense. It's pointless. And, like, Ryu Daiji, like, tells him, hey, all things in this world have life, and all life deserves respect, and, you know, you should respect the dead and honor them, and, like, you know, that is a really powerful sentiment too. And then he gets to, like, how this relates to like the group of the series, the Bozebeats, and what they do, and it's like, you know, performing these rituals, these and jolly gestures of reverence, you know, these rituals, and helping those who left behind and move on with their lives. That's, you know, what we do, and that's like the value of the work we do. And like, yeah, I think that's just a really strong foundation and drive for, you know, Tamaki's character and for the series to explore. So I think it like really hit all that like very important emotional centers strongly in this first chapter, and that has me very engaged to like continue the story. So I'm very excited for this new series, and I'm looking forward to what we can get out of the remainder of the jump starts, and hopefully it'll hit on in Japan too, and maybe we can see more of it down the line.
Yeah, like I said earlier, like, you know, I said I'm not really willing to start reading. Like, if we had the option to, I probably wouldn't read it weekly. I'd let it build up. But, like, that's not to say I you know, that I disliked it or anything. There were definitely some great moments in this first chapter, like what Sid said. The moment where Ryu Daiji clasps Tamaki's hands together, and yeah, he starts going on his whole spiel about, you know, how life deserves respect and whatnot. That's definitely probably the strongest moment in the first chapter for me personally. But I feel like as far as the jump starts go, somehow I feel like I'll probably end up enjoying Act Age more, because I'm definitely looking forward to reading the first chapter of that. What with its premise and whatnot.
Yeah.
Interesting. I remember before you said you were looking forward to Bozebeats more.
I did say that, but now that I've read Bozebeats, I don't know, somehow I just have this feeling that I feel like I'll like Act Age more, just on its premise. I don't know. Sid, people can change their minds. I don't know what you want me to do.
Do you mind if I say something just in general?
Sure.
I can see your point on, like wanting to let it build. I think, like personally, that was actually my personal reaction to Kimetsu no Yaiba. And in the end, like,
yeah, me too.
Like the first 3 chapters, like on their own, like they were good. It's a great manga, and everybody should check it out, especially as it's coming out and stuff like that. But it took, like, I guess a whole volume's worth of content for me to be like, okay, this is actually something that, like, I would like to keep. Like, it kept my attention more as, like, 7 chapters in one than 3 chapters in one. And I think it's actually interesting, just as a series, like, when I first saw it, I was like, oh, this is going to be like Kimetsu no Yaiba set like Meiji Restoration with like limited I don't know why, like it was going to be like some sort of alternate whatever. And it's interesting to me that like the character design contrast with like the monks and then like the super modern design, I think is actually really interesting to me personally.
Yeah.
Because usually when you see stuff like that, it's either like super fantasy world, like with crazy castle-esque designs like Blue Exorcist.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Or you get a series like Kimetsu no Yaiba, or even like Inuyasha, where it's like some sort of period piece, whether it's like feudal Japan or feudal Japan or like the Meiji period. It's like, or something like really specific like that. So it's interesting to be like, oh, like, at the end of the chapter, they're like, let's go on an airplane. It's like, yeah, so somebody argued with me about that. I'm like, it's on page 56, bro.
Can you read, bro? Yeah. I really like how the series is like playing with, you know, there's like this really advanced technology, but like the characters are very spiritual and they have these very like old-fashioned garb. I think that is a really good contrast.
Yeah, no, overall, it's very different from what I'm used to. And I don't know, I work on like Space Police and Dragon Ball, and volleyball and golf. So I mean, like, it's very different. Like, even like, I'll say even with like Black Torch, I like, look, when I first got it, I'm like, I've never worked on anything that was like super Japanese techniques in terms of like attacks and stuff like that. So actually from like an editor standpoint, I was like, oh, how do I write these out in English kind of thing. And Black Torch kind of gave me some practice on that. Even when I did the 2-shot on Kenshin, way back, like last year, I was still like, these kind of like something technique or whatever, like something in Japanese, and then like the English, like this series actually was kind of interesting. It's another challenge like that. Black Torch was the real one where that happened. Toma, please. Sorry. He's a good boy, I swear.
That's alright. But no, yeah, I guess hopefully, I mean, even if Viz doesn't end up picking up Bozebeats for a spot in the magazine, I'm hoping it does well, because I think it has the potential to be a pretty good series.
Same, I think it actually has a lot of potential as well. I mean, I feel bad, like, saying, like, oh yeah, no, like, if this, blah, 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 because I honestly don't know. So, don't take anything I say as, like, oh yeah, no, she likes it, so it's gonna happen, or whatever. That's, like, my biggest fear. Like, oh, Marlene likes something, so that means it's blah, blah, blah. No, it means that I'm a nerd. And so, I hope it actually continues in Japan, like, for a while. I found it incredibly interesting. So we'll see.
I was gonna say, it doesn't feel like a Jump manga to me, which I think is probably the most interesting aspect about it. Like, this feels like a combination of something like, again, To Your Eternity and, like, Golden Kamui, like, something along those lines, at least, like, aesthetically speaking, I guess.
Yeah, or Kimetsu no Yaiba, I think was the most, biggest, like, comp.
Yeah.
I don't know. But also, like, Kimetsu no Yaiba is very much, it almost feels like a Shonen Sunday title, like, Inuyasha. I don't know. When I hear that, I think, like, or, like, when I think of this genre, I think of Inuyasha, so I'm like, oh, Shonen Sunday, or whatever.
Honestly, yeah, I could see that.
Yeah.
But, it's a great, I love Bozebeats, so.
Yeah. I think it was a very strong first chapter. I think that comparison to Kimetsu no Yaiba is very spot on, because I definitely felt similar things back when Kimetsu no Yaiba premiered. Like, I got kind of a similar kind of vibe from the story. It was like a lot more like thoughtful, and it was like there was this strong emotional core. And it also like felt a little atypical for a Jump manga in terms of like both its art style and its execution. And I definitely think we see a kind of that trend in a couple series that have been premiering in Jump recently, with Kimetsu no Yaiba and Promised Neverland, series that fit in Jump, but they feel like a little different from what you normally expect from Jump all the same. So it's very interesting to see that kind of trend, continue here with some of the new series that are popping up.
Yeah, no, especially Promised Neverland. Promised Neverland is a very big outlier in terms of, like, oh, Jump is all about having a fun adventure, or, like, cooking something really good, or
fighting the bad guy or whatever.
Or writing a manga about Jump manga. But then you got, like children being farmed, and, like, with this really, like, almost creepy storybook style-esque art that's a complete contrast to pretty much everything else in the magazine or whatever.
Yup.
So, I mean, different isn't bad, it's just different and new and exciting.
I very much welcome different, if I'm being perfectly honest.
Yeah, me too. I really like intelligent manga. Like, that's not saying, like, something that's like, oh, buff dudes punching each other isn't good or anything like that. Like, that's fine too, it's fun. It's very easy to work on. But but at the same time, like, Astro Lost in Space, or like these deeper stories that kind of comment on, like, humanity's place in the world, or something like that, or a story that's like, you can never really predict what happens next. I find that fun. Like, Dr. Stone has been getting into that territory as well. It's, at first I was like, oh, it's just like this happy-go-lucky thing where everybody kind of sort of almost not really is dead, and then they come back, and then, oh, they're in the future. This is fun. But now it's more like, oh, there's something more here. It's actually pretty, like, it's a pretty intelligent manga, or not that it was like a stupid manga, but it was like,
it's as intelligent as a manga with a bunch of, like, punches to the nuts or whatever can get, with those kind of, like, 90s style, like, hit him in the nuts kind of gags or whatever.
Yeah. I mean, even, like, something like JoJo, which is... Well, JoJo's older than that, but, like, even then, like, a series like JoJo, it's like, oh, these buff dudes, and they're beating the crap out of each other, but, like, there's actually this really awesome, like, not convoluted, convoluted's a negative word, like, awesome deep story going on here that's, like, I don't know what's gonna happen next, like, I hope a JoJo spoiler for part 2 is okay, but, like, Caesar's death and whatnot, like, I expected Joseph and Caesar to, like, make it to the end together and stuff like that, and that just, like, threw me for a loop, and, like, here I am, like, crying. So, yeah. No, I cry from manga, if it's sad.
Definitely. I'm the same way.
You're in good company here, don't worry.